To analyze Trump through my existentialist philosophy, we must first recognize him as a being engaged in what I call bad faith, mauvaise foi, a fundamental self-deception where one denies their essential freedom and responsibility. Trump exemplifies what I discussed in Being and Nothingness about individuals who flee from their authentic freedom by adopting rigid personas and predetermined roles. Trump's relationship with truth particularly demonstrates what I termed self-deception. Unlike the simple lie, where one person deceives another, Trump appears to engage in a complex form of consciousness where he simultaneously knows and doesn't know the truth. His repeated false claims about election fraud, for instance, represent not simple lying but a deeper pattern of evading responsibility for his own freedom and choices. What's fascinating from my philosophical perspective is how Trump embodies what I call the look, regard, in his relationship with his supporters. He has become a mirror in which they see themselves reflected, but this mirror distorts their authentic possibilities into a fixed image. His rallies represent what I would term a collective exercise in bad faith, where individuals surrender their fundamental freedom to choose in favor of adopting predetermined attitudes and beliefs. Trump's obsession with his public image demonstrates what I described as living for others, être pour autrui. Instead of confronting his fundamental nothingness and freedom, he constructs himself entirely through the gaze of others, through ratings, crowd sizes, and public adoration. This is a prime example of what I meant when I wrote about how people often choose to live inauthentically by reducing themselves to fixed characteristics. The way Trump handles responsibility perfectly illustrates my concept of radical responsibility. When faced with the consequences of his actions, he consistently attempts to evade the fundamental existential truth that we are entirely responsible for our choices and their consequences. His frequent blame-shifting and victimhood narratives represent a rejection of the existential burden of freedom that I emphasized in my work. His relationship with his supporters also demonstrates what I discussed about how people often seek to escape their freedom by submitting to authority. The phenomenon of Trump's base represents what I would call a collective flight from freedom, where individuals choose to abandon their authentic possibilities in favor of a predetermined narrative about reality. Yet paradoxically, Trump's presence in politics has created what I would term a situation, a concrete context in which individuals must choose and thereby reveal their fundamental freedom. His presidency has forced many to confront their own responsibility in creating the world they inhabit, even as they might try to evade this responsibility. The ultimate existential lesson of Trump is that we cannot escape our freedom and responsibility, even in our attempts to do so. Each person who supports or opposes him is making a choice and must bear the responsibility for that choice. There is no determinism, no external force that compels these choices, only the fundamental freedom that makes us human and the responsibility that comes with it.